Starting at number 5 is the HyperX Cloud 3. This is the successor to what has been the most popular headset on the market for almost a decade, the Cloud 2. Now, the HyperX Cloud 3 is a wired headset. It can connect using this 3.5mm cable. It's non-detachable and it's not very long, but it plugs into this extension. It's the dongle. And then at the end of this wire, we've got USB Type-C and then also an adapter that comes in the box for Type-A. So you can pretty much connect it however you want and making it work with any system. But on Xbox, you're only going to be able to use the 3.5mm connection. Now, two things make the HyperX Cloud 3 a top 5 gaming headset. First, it has the best microphone that I've heard on a gaming headset. Now, when it comes to headsets with an XLR connection, that's a different story. Anyway, the sound isn't too muffled, not too nasally. I'm not sure I'd record an entire video with this, but just for talking to teammates or when talking on Discord, this is great. As I'm doing a little keyboard typing, you can hear that the noise rejection is very mild, so it'll cut out a little bit of background noise, but not a lot. But at the same time, that's good because it doesn't cut out your voice. Secondly, the Cloud 3 is the most comfortable headset that I've used as well. And I've used at least 40 of them at this point. There's faux leather with lots of padding on the ear cushions, even more than you're going to get on the Cloud 2. Good amount of padding up top as well. This is very lightweight and it has the aluminum adjustment forks. This is one of the only headsets on the market that you can actually forget that it's on your head after 3 or 4 hours. Pretty much everything else, it'll start clamping a little too hard or you'll start sweating a lot. But this one, I just completely forget. So if I'm going to be editing videos for a really long period of time, like when I edit this video, I'm going to be using the Cloud 3. Now, the headphone audio quality is perfect for FPS games, but for me, that's about it. I enjoyed the detail and it is pretty airy for a closed back device, but there's even less bass and lower mid-range than the Cloud 2, which already didn't have a whole lot of that. So hollow is the best way that I describe my experience when listening to these. Number 4 is the Logitech G Pro X2, a massive improvement over the Pro X1. The Pro X2 doubles down on its predecessor's strengths and improves on its weaknesses. This can be used wired or wirelessly, and it comes with a dongle so that you can use the 2.4 gigahertz Lightspeed connection, or you can use Bluetooth and you'll just toggle between them using this button. Can't do them simultaneously though. There's no Xbox version of this, but if you're going to be using PS5, PS4, Switch, PC, those are all fair game. The comfort and build is amazing on this. Right now I have the leather ear cushions, but it also comes with velour. It's very similar in the build to the Cloud 3, more similar to the Cloud 2, honestly. It's got these metal aluminum forks, pretty thick, but also this is relatively lightweight, not quite as lightweight as the Cloud 3. And then you can adjust these as well. It's got that nice satisfying kind of click to it. Not quite as much padding up top and not quite as plush when it comes to the ear cushions as the Cloud 3, but this is very comfortable for using long periods of time. But something that this has that the Cloud doesn't is swivel, and this is something that even the Pro X1 didn't have. Overall, this is the second most comfortable headset that's going to be on this list, but the Cloud 3, a little bit better in comfort. The headphone audio is good as well. This is using 50mm graphene drivers. You can get a little bit of warmth in the bass with these when you EQ them. Not a lot of thump and boom, but you can still get a little bit. And these do not distort easily. The detail is excellent. So for FPS performance, these things are a really good choice. Even better than the Cloud 3. Way better bass than the Cloud 3 though, but nothing overwhelming. That's not what this thing is made for. If you're a bass head, stick around. I got something that's going to be decent for you guys in a bit. Overall, this is a very versatile headset for a lot of different use cases. The Pro X2 microphone is pretty average for a gaming headset. This is the default sound that if you're just going to plug it into a console, what you're going to get, but this also gets access to Blue Voice. And I'll just throw on one of the filters. This is Broadcaster 1, and this has a high pass filter. It's got some EQ, which is lowering the mids, boosting the lows, boosting the highs, just all kinds of effects that you can apply in Blue Voice if you don't like the default sound of this. Overall, the microphone capsule is just really not that great, so it doesn't matter too much what you do to it. It's just not going to sound amazing. But something is nice is the noise reduction filter that you can use in Blue Voice. I'm doing some keyboard typing right now, and I'll put it up a little bit more so that it'll cut out a little bit more background noise. And this is just me typing on the keyboard right now. Really cool filters, but the mic itself, not that great. The Pro X2 is really good in a lot of areas, just not quite the best at anything. Number 3 is the best choice for competitive FPS players without spending over 300 bucks. The Epos A6 Pro is a wired only headset, 3.5mm, and it has incredibly detailed sound. I know that some people coming from SteelSeries say this thing has too much bass for them, but compared to everything else on this top 5, these are super bass light and very treble heavy. Weapon fire is quite jarring on these, but the sound separation makes up for it. The soundstage is the widest that I've heard on any closed back device, and this gives you a really sterile, analytical sound. There's no boom in the bass. Honestly, it's not a particularly fun experience, unless that's just your type of sound. This thing seems geared heavily towards performance. Now, there's also an open back version of this device that I haven't tested, but I can only assume that it has an even wider soundstage than this. The build of this thing is all right. It's almost all plastic, but we've got a little bit of metal up here. The cloth ear pads are really nice. I find them quite comfortable. I haven't used this for a super extended period of time yet, but this hasn't caused me any discomfort yet. This microphone is actually detachable completely. You can just pull it off. And there's a little cover that you can put on. It's magnetic, so it just kind of snaps right back on. Flip to mute as well. You hear the little click. So no complaints with the build. It's quite comfortable. Not at the very top, but I do still like it. Now, if you do have glasses, and a lot of times I do wear glasses when I play games, there's going to be a little bit of a pressure right like here, and do watch out for that. The EPOS H6 Pro has a very good mic when you compare it to other gaming headsets. You are going to have to use this thing pretty close to you, like right up on you. So it's good that this thing has a lot better plosive rejection than another microphone that I'm about to demonstrate in this top 5 list. Anyway, for some keyboard typing, it has pretty good background noise rejection of that, not too extreme. Overall, this microphone is just a little bit under the HyperX Cloud 3 when it comes to clarity, but for a gaming headset, this is really good. Overall, if you're into competitive FPS games seriously, then this is the way to go. Unless you've got even bigger pockets, then stick around for number 1. Number 2 is my favorite headset on this list by far. Also by EPOS, this is the drop-in EPOS PC38X. Aside from the Astro A40, the PC38X is the only gaming headset that has full, rich, satisfying bass that actually has thump and boom to it right out the box. It's not like Skull Candy. I've got the Crusher Evos here. Nothing here is anywhere close to that, which is a good thing, honestly. But using this is an actually fun experience. The soundstage, how far away it makes different sound sources seem, is the widest of any headset on this list. And of course that makes sense because this is an open back headset, so the sound can leak in and out freely, and it doesn't really trap in the bass, which is really impressive that they're able to get such good bass from this with an open back design, especially when you consider the same company is responsible for this, the H6 Pro, which has way less bass and is closed back. Now, the detail on the PC38X is good, but not amazing. It makes vocals sound warm and rich, and I feel like when I listen to myself back on this, I sound amazing. A little bit too amazing though. These aren't as analytical as like the H6 Pro. So in this recording space, you can see that I have a flat wall, no sound treatment here. So if I'm listening back with this device on, I might miss how much echo and reverb there's really coming back into the microphone because I'm just getting a warm, rich, smooth tone the entire time. And some subtle background noises, like I have the window open and there's a little bit of wind, a little bit of cars rushing by. The microphone might pick that up a little bit, but I wouldn't really hear it too much in this headset. And when it comes to subtle cues in games, like footsteps, you'll hear them, but it's not going to be as prominent as some of the other devices. Now, one weakness with this headset is the clamping force. Right now, I have the velour ear cushions on it right now. There's like cloth padding as well. Personally, I find these to be way more comfortable, but either of them don't completely like stop the clamp that you're going to get with these. So they will cause a little bit of pressure after like an hour. Also, something that I don't like is the volume wheel that they have on here. It doesn't actually mute the entire headphone audio of this. It just makes it quieter and then they can max it out, but it can't make it completely silent. And yeah, this thing is all plastic. You can hear some of that creaking. So it's not going to win any durability contests. Even up top, you're going to see this is kind of like peeling a little bit, and it's just because they just got a little bit of glue on there. That seems like it's about it. The microphone is decent for a gaming headset, kind of nasally. Also, the post projection, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, not amazing. Let's go ahead and show the background noise rejection. That's actually pretty good on this microphone. So if you're having a little bit of issues with plosives, you might want to move this out a little bit, but it does kind of like return to its default state pretty easily. Good microphone, not the absolute best, but despite the shortcomings of this headset, it is my favorite gaming headset that I've used. I'm looking for more like this. And the number 1 best gaming headset is the Audeze Maxwell. This replaces the Audeze Penrose from the top of my list last year. This is the best headphone audio that I've heard on any headset or headphones period. The detail and sound separation is top notch. So even when there are really busy music tracks or a lot of stuff happening in games, you got kill streaks going off, but also there's footsteps and gunfire. You're going to be able to hear all those individual sounds separately, but they're blended together at the same time without any frequency range overpowering the other. This accomplishes what the H6 Pro does as far as making subtle cues stand out like footsteps, but without just killing the lower mids and the bass in order to do so. The Maxwell is also the most receptive to EQ compared to all the other headsets on this list. You can never make it quite hit in the bass like the the PC38X, but the other devices, you can pretty much make it sound like any of those. But of course, this is going to have a little bit more detail than all of them. So whatever sound signature that you like, as long as you're not like a super bass head like me, you can pretty much get whatever you want with this. You can make it sound a little bit more open. By default, it's a little bit boxy. If you're into SteelSeries devices, you can make this thing a lot more sharp in the treble if you want. Now, this device can be used wired or wirelessly. This has Bluetooth and wireless with the dongle. Now, the dongle, you can't actually use it with the Bluetooth simultaneously. It's going to swap between them, and there's not like a button that you can use to manually swap either. Another weakness of this device is it's quite heavy. It is made out of a lot of metal. There's some plastic on there, but it's 490 grams without the mic. You put the mic on, it gets up to like 508 or something like that. So wearing this for really long periods of time, it's just not really that viable. There's pleather ear pads, but there's not really that much give like there is in the HyperX Cloud 3. There's a metal frame up top and a suspension headband that is adjustable just by pulling this off right here. But this exposes a pretty dramatic design flaw, which I've made an entire video about that. Because if you use this thing on the tightest setting, it is susceptible to breaking even from just normal use, because this section of the headband right here snaps apart from the rest of it really easily. And this device also has some swivel. I really like that. It's not super useful when you put it around your neck because it does kind of clamp you up. Now the Maxwell has a boom mic and integrated mics when you take the boom mic out. And there's a mic mute switch for both, which is on the side right here. The boom mic sounds passable, but as I'm going to do a little bit of keyboard typing, it does reject background noise pretty well, and that's something that they were advertising quite a bit. So if you really need that, then yeah, this does the job for that. Now, when we pull this mic out, it automatically switches to the integrated mics, and that's going to be really useful if you're going to be using this thing outside, anywhere where you don't want to be walking around with this boom mic sticking out. There's also different levels of noise reduction that you can change using this button right here. I had it on high noise suppression, and let me turn it completely off. Now this is with the noise suppression off. This is what this is going to sound like. I don't think that this really needs any noise suppression at all. Let me go ahead and put the boom mic back in just so that you can hear it. Well, real quick, just a little bit more keyboard typing so that you can hear that without any of the noise suppression. Let me go ahead and throw this in real quick. And now this is the boom mic with the noise suppression off. Just doing a little bit of keyboard typing so that you can hear that. This is the Audeze Maxwell's microphone. Well, this is definitely not a perfect device, but the audio quality is so excellent that I have to put it at #1 of my best gaming headsets.